For our first recipe, we'll be doing the humble Scotch egg, which is a lovely meal. So what you'll need for it is some pork sausages. We've got them in the casing, some chives, some sage, and then we have a few little odds and ends to add to it, a little bit of mustard, some salt, pepper, and a bit of nutmeg, just to give it a little bit more flavor. But remember, you don't want to overdo it, as the pork sausage would already have flavoring into it. So before we start, I've got the oil on, and I'm getting it to about a medium-high sort of temperature. I know it's gas, so sometimes it's a bit hard to gauge. Would be about 150 degrees. But what we're going to do a little bit later is we'll just take a bit of the breadcrumbs, we'll drop it in, and when it starts bubbling, you know you're good to go to start frying. So onto the pork sausages. Just got myself a bowl. I'm going to simply cut the pork sausages so that I can remove the casing and squeeze all that juicy and delicious meat out. And yes, let's get your hands dirty time. Okay, so our pork's in the bowl. Hands are clean. Let's get chopping. So what I've done is I'm just going to take some chives. And again, another way to do chives is you can use a pair of scissors too, and we can cut them in. Should we do it? Why not? Remember, this is not a perfect cut. It's going into the meat. It's going to be just for the flavor side. It's not for the decoration side, so it doesn't matter if it's a bit rustic. So I've added some chives to it. I've got some sage, but the sage I'm going to chop up with a knife. I just want to get it a little bit finer than I would normally with the chives, because sage can be quite a strong flavor. So then all we do is we roll it up nicely into a little bowl, and doesn't have to, again, it doesn't have to be too fine. It's just for the flavor side of it that we're looking for. Right, sage is in. After that, I'm just going to take a little bit of salt, not too much. Remember, there is a bit of flavor in there, so let's put some salt on that. And then we have some normal white pepper. I like white pepper. Obviously, in certain dishes it brings out a bit of flavor, so we can use that. And then I have some English mustard. Be careful if you don't like it too hot. I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon into here. And then I've got whole nutmeg, which you can use. If you only have the ground nutmeg, it really and truly isn't a problem. But let's give it a grate and see what happens. And again, nutmeg's very, very strong, so just use a little bit. Right, so you'll have some sort of a concoction like this. Now it's the messy time. Get in there, get in with your hands. Don't be afraid. Have some fun and do it like kneading dough. Okay. Messy hands and all, that's what you got. Okay, so now that we are with camera magic, got clean hands, just something we were observing is you'll see normally people are moaning about flies on their food. Being in the bush, we have wasps today, so good old yellow jacket wasps. Okay, so we've got our pork meat ready. We're going to set that one side. We're just going to clear off our odds and ends, and then we're going to be making a little production line. And basically what we're going to do first up is I'm going to take some eggs that I've already previously boiled. I put them in cold water. I brought them up to the boil for about 5 minutes. Obviously, if you want a runny egg, you can do it, towards your timing. If you wanted a harder egg, you can do it for longer. But just remember that the egg will still cook once it's encased in the sausage meat. So first things first, I have a little bit of flour, and all I want to do now is take my eggs and I want to dust them in flour to keep them nice and dry. Just a quick little coat, literally lightly like that. And then I'm going to start encasing them in the pork sausage meat that we've created together. Quick little tip, it gets quite sticky. So what we do is we just take a little bit of water and we just wet our hands roughly, just a tiny bit, just so the sausage meat doesn't stick as much to your hands. Take the egg, we're going to take some sausage meat, encase it around the egg. And guys, remember, this is not an exact science. All we want to do is create a nice little thin layer around the egg, just so that it cooks correctly. We don't want these jumbo-sized soccer balls running around your kitchen, just small enough to coat the egg. You can simply weigh it, but it's really no need for that. just carry on and feel food with your hands. So into our trusty makeshift tap we've got over here, we dry the other hand, and I'm going to grab sort of pretty much an egg-sized bit of mince, or should I say pork sausage meat. I'm going to take the egg and ask the wasps to leave me alone, and then I'm going to literally go right around the egg, and it's going to take you a while to get there. Once you've encased it, you start getting a bit more of a better idea. And no, we're not playing cricket with these, okay? So I don't want to see any white of the egg, and you can always grab a tiny little more sausage meat should there be an area you're a bit worried about. And that's that. You can see the large chunks of sage and chives. It all adds to the flavor. And guys, look, I'm only going to make 4 just to show you how the process is done. The recipe does cater for 8, but obviously you can double up and you can cut down as you wish, because I know all family sizes are very, very different. We've got our pork balls, which, by the way, should you not eat pork, just use some beef sausage. It's really not the end of the world. You'll just get a different flavor. That's it. So we're going to take them and we're going to coat them just in a wee bit of egg. Remember, I said to you, try and get that production process. While those are done, we're going from the 1. And then we've got some panko breadcrumbs over here, which I'm just coating lightly. We just want to make sure that everything is nice and coated. So about 4 to 5 minutes is what we're looking for. That nice golden crust. And then a good old South African favorite will come into hand. Mrs. Ball's chutney. Pork and chutney always go together very well. So we've just got 2 more to go, and let's pop them in. You can see the oil sizzling perfectly. You see what I mean by about like a medium high, and it's just going to cook that perfectly, just nicely. Just also please remember, don't fill your oil too much, because obviously you have the risk of then it overboiling. So you want just enough to cover these eggs. You can always flip them around. That's not the end of the world. You just want to get it nice and crispy and golden and delicious. Okay, so what we're going to do now is our beautiful, beautiful golden brown Scotch eggs are ready. And they've been in for about 5 minutes, I would say. Just depends on your heat. I'm just going to drain them on some kitchen paper. The other 2 still have a little minute to go. So I'm just going to drain it quickly. Give those a little flip. And I think maybe in half a second, I'll be brave enough to cut it. Or should we just try it hot? Okay. Let's just do it hot. So just dabbing it a little bit, feeling it. Sounds beautifully and crispy. But what I think we should do with it is, as we said, the South African Mrs. Ball's chutney. Let's get some ready for the tasting. Okay, so sounds crispy. The moment of truth for our golden Scotch eggs. Just give it a little cut and have a look inside, and guess what? We're cooked perfectly. I'm not entirely sure how everybody likes their eggs, but you can see it's delicious. The pork meat's cooked and there's that crisp to it. I'm going to try one. It's absolutely delicious, even if I do say so myself.